We have Shari, Talent Acquisition Manager, who oversees hiring across all Canadian and US offices and leads the company's internship program. Joining her is Emelita, a Senior Account Manager supporting health and nonprofit clients through corporate communications, media relations, and patient advocacy. And finally, we have David, a director at Changemakers, who works with global technology brands to navigate corporate reputation, manage crisis communications, and build impactful media and influencer strategies. We're so excited to have them here with us today to share their insights and expertise. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to our wonderful presenters.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, Annalisa, for allowing this opportunity for us to come together as Changemakers and Holly Polytech in order for us to showcase, how to be a successful candidate with Changemakers. And we'll go to the first screen, the next slide. Overall, this is a table of contents of things that we'll be discussing, which will be the introduction of Changemakers, what do we look for in our candidates, current roles, about our PR internship, which will be led by our very own David and Emelita, about what we look for in a PR superstar, past accomplishments, and Changemaker intern alumni. And at the end, we have questions and answers.
Shari, I think you're doing this one.
I'm not. Oh, okay. So let me cover this. So Changemakers, we are a North American reputation and management firm with more than 400 professionals, employees focused on navigating, anticipating, and creating change. We are built to handle complexity and to drive creativity. Well, who are we really? We are located right across Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Toronto, Washington, Halifax, and Miami, and so many other pockets right across Canada and the US. The game how we stand is we build to protect reputation. It helps by organizing and connecting with audiences in meaningful ways while defining and measuring and managing reputations. We are the marketing tool that moves the needle. Because of our forward-thinking mentality, collectively, we develop and integrate marketing strategies that connect businesses and goals to our audience and beliefs. Our C-suite and leadership communications is bar none. We definitely set the expectations, set the bar from advertising, management, and stakeholders on how to deal with clarity, communicate effectively through conflict, and to build internal alignment from the inward out. And of course, purpose and social impact, creating and fostering meaningful partnerships to navigate change for community development and well-being and justice. Okay, and here's a highlight of our practice areas and services. Again, we are a three-pronged juggernaut in this industry: reputation management, marketing, and social impact. I won't list every single portion of our company or vehicle that we have with our company, but a couple key things I do want to highlight in relation to this call is our corporate brand and lifestyle PR, corporate communications, that's under our umbrella of reputation management, media and communication training. Under our marketing, another strong prong within the juggernaut agency, who we are, is our brand DNA, strategy and identity and design, which I'll be touching on, market research, campaign, media planning, buying, and post-campaign analysis. And the third prong to our amazing company here at Changemakers, class action outreach and advisory, economic development and land infrastructure, Indigenous public and interest holder engagement, and of course, reconciliation strategies. What do we look for in our candidates? Great question. So these are key high level details that we look for in our candidates, which are essentially our North Star, from interns to executive vice presidents. These are the fundamentals that we look for. So one, collaboration and inclusivity and team player. We look for leadership skills, building meaningful relationship, active listening, being open to different perspectives, and wanting to contribute to the growth and development and expansion of Changemakers. Growth oriented and mentorship seeking. We are looking for applicants who want to have hands-on learning, mentorship, and opportunities to expand and develop their skills. Experienced, strategic, and cross-disciplinary thinkers. We're looking for individuals who don't bring just deep experience, but also a wide range of skill sets that expand in different areas. Because we are a multi-pronged type agency, this can include high levels such as communication, marketing, engagement, ESG, which is environmental social governance, digital strategy, indigenous engagement, and public affairs, for example. This looks like strategic thinking, adaptability, flexibility, and comfortable surviving and performing under pressure, and designing and proving systems that work at scale. And lastly, strong communicators with operational excellence. These candidates not only communicate clearly, but they also deliver results by keeping things organized and running smoothly, able to manage projects and deadlines, break down complex problems, identify issues and fix them, whether it be with writing, speaking, presenting. They get their message across very clearly. I'll go to the next slide. So here are the current roles that we're working on. Now, I will note, in order for you to see many of the roles that are coming down our pipeline, I always encourage our employees that are looking for an opportunity or are looking for, are passively looking, always visit our website at www.thechangemakers.com/careers. So I'm going to touch on the corporate brand designer and editorial designer. For the corporate brand designer, this particular position is for 3 years of experience, but you'll be working with an established brand. You'll be responsible for developing and maintaining brand guidelines to ensure that there's clarity, consistency, and room for evolution and growth. What that looks like is you're coming together with our brand delivery team and our new business development team, and taking the brand that's already established and taking it to the next level as the company begins to evolve and grow. The needs for this position is someone that has experience within digital, social, and paid media platforms. And one key thing I will add, based on the interviews that we have had and we're conducting, attitude is a huge must. You must have a positive attitude, a collaborative mindset. Even if you have a mediocre portfolio, due to the feedback that I have received, we'll take maybe not the strongest portfolio, but a person that really wants to drive, be hungry, want to take their career to the next level. This position is also located in our Toronto office, and it is hybrid in office 3 days a week. The editorial designer, new biz proposals, very similar role to the corporate brand designer. The difference is you'll be supporting new business proposals, RFP responses, and pitch presentations. This person is literally going to be a visual storyteller, bringing visions to life and performing and transforming content into polished on-brand layouts across different platforms such as PowerPoint, Word, and Keynote. Again, attitude is a huge plus for this role. The awesome thing about both of these roles is there's a major level of collaboration between our digital, social, creative team, and as well our new business team, being heavily a part of the RFPs or new businesses that are going to be coming across the company, in order to bring your creativity to life within these proposals. Again, this is a hybrid position, 3 days in office in Toronto. And again, I want to, as we have new visitors coming into this to meet, highly recommend to visit our website at thechangemakers.com/careers to see other opportunities that are definitely coming down the pipeline. I'd like to turn it over to two of my colleagues, David and Emelita, that will discuss the next slides for the opportunities we're currently working on.
Thank you, Shari. So hello to everyone that's joined us virtually earlier and also after. But just a very quick, brief intro. My name is Emelita de la Cruz, Senior Account Manager of Health. And this is David Troy Alvarez, who's the Director on our Corporate Affairs team here at Changemakers. So right now, we really wanted to kind of take this time to talk to you a little bit about our internship program here at Changemakers for public relations. We'll go to the next slide. Right. So David and I are part of the reputation management practice here at Changemakers, but we also co-lead the internship program here as well. So we actually both come from this very same program and have since grown in our current roles and are now experiencing this as kind of a full circle moment, getting to co-lead this program together and really help bring it to life. On the program itself, as you'll see in the slide, we've had this internship program established and running for the last 2 decades now and counting, which has been incredibly exciting. It's built a number of careers that have started in what was known as formerly Argyle. Then and since then, past and current colleagues have walked through these doors and really built successful careers for themselves. So for us, it's been really great to see that development of the program throughout the years and really how we've structured this in a way that allows our PR interns to really grow and explore different types of work within our industry in a way that's very meaningful. So our internship program, we offer a 4-month paid internship, hiring up to 2 full-time interns each round. It's just the best way to do it. We're always looking for the best dynamic duo who can be very collaborative together and ultimately be part of our team. There's a lot of work across agency, working with a lot of different types of clients and types of work. So having 2 just works out for us very well. We do also offer a flexible hybrid work environment right now. So our current interns get the chance to work from home, but also get a chance to work within our Toronto office as well. The internship periods that we offer is January, May, and September. So we currently have our May interns who are delightful. And so these are just the main rounds that we have when we are looking for those applicants. So kind of talking a little bit about what it's like to be an intern and what are those day-to-day responsibilities. It's really so different every day. No 2 days are alike, but a lot of our interns, which we really pride on with this program, is that we let you touch anything and everything. So our interns support across our entire reputation management practice. So that could look like, working with us to help with media and influencer relations. So building media lists, actually pitching journalists, helping out with research, writing, social content, working and helping us with event planning and execution, or even helping us with issues management, whether clients need that depending on the mandate. There's also opportunities for our interns to be involved in creative brainstorms, but also helping us with media monitoring and supporting with other internal initiatives. So as you'll kind of see, it's all very different. It just depends on what you're working on. But ultimately, our goal is really just to give you the best of the best, especially for, I think, would hate to speak for David, but I think for us, it's just really making sure that every intern who walks through our doors has an experience that they don't forget, right? We want you to be able to see what you like and what you don't like. So being able to touch everything, get to explore, work with different clients in different industries, that's really the best way to do it and the best time to learn and really set you up for success. So we'll kind of talk a little bit more about some of those clients and a little bit more about what it takes to be that best intern candidate. So I'm going to turn over the slides to David.
Yeah, thanks, Amelita. So I'm going to quickly go over some of our services here on the PR front. And for some folks here who are in the PR program, a lot of this might be very similar to some of the content you're taking in school. But this work is also can be translated into the marketing side, given that a lot of our work is adjacent to those teams, as well as our practices. So on the reputation management side or the PR side, we do have dedicated practices on the corporate affairs, consumer communications, health and wellness, trade, which includes a number of elements like food and products. And then, of course, our crisis and data intelligence team that helps analyze social conversations and turn them into actionable insights. And we work with brands across all these industries, large brands, small brands, Canadian brands, global brands, and help them navigate, all their different challenges, while also helping them localize in Canada if they're based, elsewhere. So just a few of the different services here that we, of course, offer. One of our big elements we do here, of course, is media relations. So that's managing press, managing journalists, dealing with inquiries, and also landing that messaging for our clients. Of course, we do a number of social media related work related to influencers or social campaigns. On the marketing front, that's creating obviously advertising content, whether it's out of home or digital, social, whatever that may be. And then, of course, everything in between with news and like print ads, etc. We also offer, of course, training for media spokespeople. We do a lot of events as well. Our team is actually on the ground right now, and I believe they're in Stacked Market doing an activation for crumble cookies. So, a lot of those influencer events that you might see on TikTok, our team executes those across the country as well. And then our public engagement, which our social team or our engagement team manages a lot of that work. That is hearing from communities directly and helping them, get to a consensus or provide feedback or get their feedback on any related topic, whether it be government related or community related. We help navigate those conversations. So that experience is quite broad for even our clients itself. So this is just a snapshot of some of our work, and primarily on the reputation management side. We do have our marketing team, of course, which has a number more clients, but they range from obviously big tech brands like Meta, Spotify, Dyson, to well-beloved brands like Crayola and Crumble Cookies, to everything in between, right? So we have big pharma brands like Novo Nordisk, AbbVie, and then of course like big banks like Desjardins. The range is all over the place, right? So the exciting thing about a career at Changemakers is being able to touch all these different opportunities, and especially for our interns, they get to essentially figure out what they like, what they're passionate about, and then hopefully take that route to a full-time career at Changemakers, and ideally that industry that they're passionate about. So this is again just a very small snapshot of that work. And the list kind of goes on and on and on, but just to give you an idea of kind of some of the work we do. We also wanted to highlight why you should start your career at Changemakers. And I know this says PR career, but this is really any internship that we'd be offering at Changemakers. There is uh, obviously the opportunity to learn from all these different sectors that we highlighted before. And I think that's kind of the main thing with internships. They are a learning opportunity. They're an extension of your program, and they are designed for you to not only apply the skills that you've learned at Humber, but also to, maybe find new ones, learn from professionals. We want you to get that experience hands-on, and really to be able to touch with all these, leading brands and find ways to, get yourself involved as many ways as possible. Our interns support across the team, so we don't put our interns to one specific bucket. So if you are, working on a health account, maybe in the morning, maybe in the afternoon, doing an event, right? Or the next day, you might be doing 5 different clients, all around the same, many different things on those clients. And then some days we might get to a full day running some kind of activation, in Toronto, like our intern is doing right now. So it varies day by day, and I think that's kind of the nature of the industry, is that every day is different, which also makes it exciting to try new opportunities and get your hands onto anything possible. Our interns also have access to a number of our own employee initiatives, and a lot of these are employee-led. They're not necessarily led by our leadership team. So I'll just go over a few of them here. The Change Lab, this started when we were Argyle before, but this started as a learning opportunity for our team members to share their learnings with the rest of the company. So we host these, I think, they used to be monthly. I think they're still monthly. But essentially we have let's say myself or Emelita wants to highlight a learning we've had on how to be a good client steward, right? Or how to navigate a complex or a tough conversation with a client, how to, create the best influencer plan that helps drive results. So we do all these sessions to help, keep our team, up to date with latest trends, any learnings. And we find that's really helpful to keep that education going throughout your career. We also have a AI task force. Of course, AI is all over the news, all over conversation, and it does impact, of course, some of the work that we do. So this is really designed for us to stay on top of what's happening in the industry, any learnings we're discovering, any new tools we've found that help makes our job better, and just finding ways to apply that in a way that makes sense for our clients, while of course managing their privacy and their information in a confidential way. And then we have a reconciliation action circle. This is really our commitment to make sure that we follow and really think about reconciliation as a complete company. We do have a separate it's not separate, it's part of our company, but it's like an addition to Changemakers is Castlemaine. They're an Indigenous relations firm based out of Vancouver or Vancouver. Yeah, they're based in Vancouver. And this is spearheaded by that team, but we essentially apply this to our entire business, and we make sure that we get everyone's input on how we can move forward with our mission to reconciliation. Of course, there's a lot of mentorship opportunities from professionals across our team, and a few of them are pictured on these slides. And the reason I say that is because many of them have started their careers as interns, and on the next slide you'll see just some of the examples of that. But the idea here is that we have people who have been in the same programs, have been in the internship programs, and have continued their careers, and they continue to be mentors for all the new interns that come in. So in the top right, you'll see our 2 current interns with our president of reputation management team, and throughout these images are folks who have already started as interns at some points and helped work with brands like Spotify or Dyson, and obviously win awards for our campaigns. So it's really great to see how these careers have started just from those programs. Here's just a snapshot of some of the folks who've had a long tenure at our company. There's a fun exercise we do actually at some meetings sometimes where we ask folks to raise their hand if they started a career as an intern, and you see like most of the room put their hand up, which is exciting. Some of the folks here obviously have started off, as 4 years now, but we have a colleague, for example, Kyla at the bottom right there, who started a career as an intern over 20 years ago and is a VP in our firm. So the idea here is that we want to keep the best talent. We want to keep growing that. And the program, I think, kind of speaks for itself with our, longevity and how many careers have continued on from this program. Also have currently at the moment 12 full-time staff who have started off as interns, plus our current interns. So we're always finding, this is a great talent pipeline for us to, grow our team, which is why we put so much effort and we want to make sure we get the right people in the door. I'll hand it back to Emily on how to be a successful candidate.
Thank you. It's always hard because I feel like that's my favorite slide and I just want to stay on that for 10 minutes. But thank you, David. So kind of moving on to how to be a successful intern candidate. So at Changemakers, we have a lot of candidates who are really eager to start their careers with us. And we often get a lot of resumes and interest, which is exciting. But sometimes it's hard to stand out. So David and I, in the past year and a half, just being able to lead this program on our own, we noticed over time there were a lot of things that really stood out for us and really helped us feel like, we want to connect with you and want to learn more. So a few helpful tips on our end, just based off our learnings. One is quantifying your impact where possible. So is there a school project that landed you media coverage? Did you host an event with over 300 people and raised over X amount of funds in donation? Whatever it is, whether it's big or small, we want to be able to see it and we want to see how you stand out. We talk a little bit about this too, just in these next few slides, but I think, it's important to be able to really demonstrate that impact and showing us like what kind of results you bring and how you're going to bring it to Changemakers. Showcasing your creativity, like show us your creativity, let it shine, whether that's sharing a portfolio, maybe Canva, or you have a website of your own where you can kind of showcase your writing samples or images or any other creative assets that you are really proud of, I think is really, really helpful. A lot of times when we're looking at resumes, we get really excited when we get to see links to online portfolios because it gives us an opportunity to kind of see how you stay creative and how you bring your creative flair. So that helps us, just kind of helps us throughout that process and really helps you stand out. Another part in here is staying plugged in. So a big part of our line of work in public relations is being tapped in and understanding what is happening in the news landscape. The media is constantly changing. So we are constantly on the hunt to understand what is happening, what impacts our clients, what do we need to know about certain trends, insights, and things that matter. So I think if you are someone who's really interested in a path in PR, being able to understand the lay of the land and understanding different trends and insights and platforms that people are using and what people are saying about certain industries will really help you. It only really helps you think smarter too, because if you are taking the steps now to kind of understand the landscape that we PR professionals work in, that really shows us your understanding and obviously allows you to do that work even more comprehensively. Don't underestimate your volunteer experience because it counts. We have seen time and time again people, candidates coming in and sharing their resumes and taking the time to share their volunteer work, whether you're volunteering for, the Toronto Humane Society, or you're volunteering for the Canadian Public Relations Society, which is our governing board in PR, or whatever it is in between. We'd love to hear what you've done and how you've shown your support and that impact. Volunteer is great, especially outside of school. Show us what you're up to and what you're passionate about. And finally, know the agency and why you want to be here. So taking the time to understand who we are as change makers, whether it's taking the time to look at, our work, our website, if you're following along on LinkedIn to get a sense of the type of work we get to showcase, it just helps a lot, because I think for us, we want to be able to work with, candidates who pretty much aligned with our values. And I think that it really allows you to understand the future that you want for yourself here, and if we align with your own values. So take the time to kind of learn about us and if we're a match for you.
Maybe I'd add to this that this is also very, I know this is listed as PR intern candidates, but this is very translatable to any folks trying to get into the marketing space or graphic design, web development, etc. Obviously, with, let's say you're a graphic designer, you have a portfolio, but beyond that, is there something you've done externally from your portfolio that you want to highlight? And I think the idea here is that we want to see what else you bring, and that creativity. We really want to see that shine, right? So like I say, it's not this isn't just for PR. I would apply this for almost any internship you're trying to get into. You want to know the company you're trying to apply to, read that website, read what they have, read their LinkedIn content, their projects or campaigns. And even with the trends aspect, right? The marketing trends change and are very quick. There's always a new marketing campaign that's taking space somewhere that is very captivating. We want to make sure that this stuff, right? So as always, this is I'd say a template for one industry, but it could be applied to all.
Couldn't agree more. And to, I guess, finalize as well, ultimately, just be yourself. I think we always want people to feel authentic and to be able to talk about, your passions and your experience in a very genuine way. So just to kind of end that part. All right, over to the next slide. So Changemakers in action. So as an intern, as David and I already kind of alluded to, you really get that opportunity to be involved in the magic we bring and all the results that we bring for our clients. So here are just a few of our recent examples of some of the work we've done with some clients. So just to kind of name a few, at the top left, we worked with Sinai Health Foundation to launch their annual Raptors for Research campaign, which was really exciting. We launched a 10-foot pole in Brookfield Place in Toronto, and basically had a ton of people come in throughout the day to shoot some hoops and win some tickets for a Raptors game, which was really exciting, while also raising awareness for the initiative that year. We've also hosted influencers for a brunch and learned with our client Germ Cafe. We've also, this one's a really exciting one, and David can speak to that, but we've also supported our client Spotify on the launch of Try Hard, which was a debut book and audiobook by Max Kerman of the band Arkells. For anyone that listens to Arkells, this one was quite the treat. We've also launched Crumble Cookies in Canada, and as David also mentioned, our current team right now is out and about also launching a new product for them as well. So it's up and running in Crumble Land. We've also supported launching products with our client Dyson, bringing awareness to chronic conditions and advocating for Canadians as well through media relations and awareness campaigns. So you'll see some photos here of our colleagues with a porta potty supporting our client Crohn's and Colitis Canada. So this is just a little snippet of just some of the incredible work that our team does together. And as we mentioned, interns get to touch anything and everything. And I think the best way to see the action is really getting to be a part of it. So this is just one part of all the great stuff that we get to do together.
Yeah, our previous interns were actually in that photo with Crohn's and colitis activation. I think that was one of their first things they did in their internship, I believe, where essentially they were outside. What was it? The Royal York Hotel or something. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your experience in the internship can really much vary from, highlighting a, chronic condition with a porta potty to, Crumble Cookies launching and having a whole unveiling with influencers and media. It all varies. And then even between all that, like there's all this creative components, and you might see all these like print and design, et cetera, that our team has developed for these clients. There's obviously like a lot more than just the PR folks who work on the stuff behind the scenes. But just, yeah, it's a quick snippet of just some of those projects and some of that fun work we do.
Mm. All right. And in terms of next steps, I mean, we are actually really excited right now because we are hiring for our next round of PR interns. So our applications are still open, and we've actually included a QR code for anyone that's on this meeting or for those who will watch this after. But it goes directly to the link that you can check out some more details on the role, the descriptions, and everything in between. If anybody's also just interested in learning more about our other open roles, as Shari also shared earlier, you can visit our LinkedIn channel, but you could also visit our website at changemakers.com/careers. And that's where we kind of keep everything updated with all the open roles and descriptions. David, is there anything else we want to add on here?
Not at the moment. I think, the roles will be open for a short amount of time. I think we're closing them on Friday. Is that correct? I think, yes. I mean, we're really excited to keep bringing in, fresh talent and getting more folks, to join our team. We really want to hear from you. We want to get your resumes. We want to see you shine, right? So, and for that, of course, Economer is a great place for that. I'm a Hummer grad at some point in my life, a few years, well, 8 years ago now or more. Yeah, I mean, it's always exciting to bring back Hummer students and keep growing our team.
All
Awesome.
right.
Yeah.
And here's where we have our questions and answers. First, thank you very much, David and Emelita, for going into such awesome detail to learn for our audience to learn so much what's happening with our PR internship program. We'd love to open the panel for any questions or comments and thoughts that you have and you'd like to share with us.
And I just want to reach out and say thank you to you three as well for joining us today and for all of the insights. I do have a list of questions that I can get us started with. And hopefully as we go, we'll get some more in the Q&A.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So in terms of the hiring process, what would you say or the application process, what is the biggest or are the biggest obstacles that you find in the application process? Where do you find that either interns or students get stuck?
That's a great question. I would say a lot of interns or students get stuck and not able to, one, maybe put up their resume. They're not able to submit their resume, or in their resumes, it's not as clear. So they're not really describing the volunteering experience, the extracurricular activities, the projects that they had. So if they really in their resumes really just be clear as to why they're applying for the role, what the projects that they've worked on, maybe even a hyperlink of the projects that they had, the writing samples that they had specifically for PR, so we can actually review the great work that they've done. That would be a really great incentive for us to really take their application to the next level or potentially to interview them. So that would be, I would say, the best way for us to if they want to apply to attract great talent, attract us in order for them to be a part of Changemakers.
I'd probably add to that as well. There's, I think sometimes with some applications, we see a lot of folks who might not necessarily have, let's say, PR experience or marketing experience or whatever other kind of experience apply for these roles. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we like to see, like, obviously a variety of, levels of experience and different levels. And if you volunteered or not, that's fine. But the main thing is like articulating and translating that your experience you've had in other roles and how it applies to the one you're trying to go for, right? So if you have marketing background and you want to go for PR, how does a marketing background help you in getting into the PR field, right? Or if you've had a long stint away from post-secondary and you're coming back and you're completing a program again, how does the experience you've had in your previous roles, now you're with your education, how does that get married together and like apply for your role you're applying to, right? So we don't just want to get, resumes short, like just getting thrown into our pile, right? We want to make sure we can get the right ones. And to do that, we have to hear and see from you that, you've thought about how your experience translates to the role itself.
Yeah, I would just add it's just the importance of tailoring your resume too, and just being as direct and clear as you possibly can for this role.
Okay, great. And going off of that, what skills or experience would you value most when hiring students for specifically the PR internship?
It's a great question.
Great question. I mean, one of the first things we like that I think Emily and I right away check is if you have education in the PR space. I think that for us is always a big plus. I always get excited whenever I see a Humber PR student, because I've been there, I've been through that process. So that is helpful. On the PR front, any other volunteer experience also, stands out, especially if it's PR related or if you've done an activation, if you worked with, at Humber with Ignite. I think that really does play a factor as well. And then for portfolios, everyone has a different style of it. And I recall back in the day at Humber, we had a formula for that as well. But I love seeing creativity, right? There's always a few that stand out to me over the years that we've taken a look at. And to me, those are always going to be the ones I remember because they were very unique and they were outside the box. So anyway, I'd say those are the main ones that stand out to me. Emilita?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the points correct, like completely. I think just adding on to that too, we also love to take a look and see, if you have like research or writing experience, or, through your volunteer or any of your past work experience, like really taking that time to like share that impact, right? Showing us that, even if you don't have that peer experience, like how have you found a way to like translate that? So very similar to how David kind of talked about it previously. So, if you've worked in sales or if you worked, at another company, and you've done XYZ and you landed media coverage or you've done things like that are also really important for us too, because, you're taking that time to share that impact and you're taking that time to kind of tell us, how, your experience can really intersect and connect with, this possible internship for you as well. So I would say that's another one. And then while not like, necessary, I think something we also get super excited about is when students volunteer for the Canadian Public Relations Society. It's CPRS for short, but they have a Toronto board or student chapter as well for students who look to volunteer as well. It just also shows us too that, even if you don't have agency or in-house experience or whatever, you're taking that time to also try to, get your feet wet into the PR world by supporting the PR board, for example. So that's also another one that's really helpful.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, Emilita, you mentioned before that you started in the PR intern program when
Yeah.
you started with Changemakers.
Yeah.
So maybe if you could give us a little bit of an overview of how your career growth has went since then, it could be a good inspiration.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you. So mine, I feel, was not, it's not the same journey as everyone's, of course, but I didn't go to Humber. I didn't have the pleasure of going to Humber. I came from Centennial, but I started off at Centennial doing their honors of Bachelor of PR Management program there, which was a 4-year program that they had offered. And during my 3rd year, I was able to do my first internship with a boutique beauty and fashion lifestyle agency called World Communications. It was really great, but obviously I couldn't stay because I had to go back for my final year. But it was really just that opportunity to just get your feet wet and see what it's like, see what you don't like. Following that internship, I did another one at that time with another leading PR agency in the city. I did that for a few months, but unfortunately, my luck was not in for it and I wasn't able to stay. So I felt really down about it. And I think I was very much in this mindset of, what's next? I don't want to do another internship. I feel like I'm ready for a junior account coordinator role, but there wasn't anything in my luck. So I kind of used that time to just do networking. I had some coffee chats with people in the industry. I did my research and just tried to stay as busy as I possibly could. And then a few months later, I actually, formerly Argyle, I had reached out to the internship program coordinator at the time, Mackenzie, to reach out and just see if there was any opportunities available in that junior account role position. And unfortunately, at the time, there wasn't, but they did have this program. And I think for me, doing 3 internships, I didn't feel like this was something I wanted to do. But at the same time, I thought, I come from beauty, fashion, and food. That industry is very different than what Argyle or now Changemakers really provides. And so I thought to myself, why not try something new? See if it works out. And if all is well, then great. Otherwise, I did my very best. And, you kind of go from there. But as luck would have it, I did end up getting that internship opportunity. And it was actually my final one because shortly after the internship, I was able to stay on full time. So for me, my journey, I don't think it's super new because I do know that just even from what David and I see in, the applicants that come in, some do have that previous internship experience, and that's also still important. If you have it, great. If you don't have it yet, that's also okay. I think that the biggest learning for me throughout those different internships, I think, was just that with every internship, I gained a new skill or I enhanced an existing skill, and that made me stronger for the next one. So I think, for me, that journey was really important because looking back, I think to myself about how, in a perfect world, I would have loved to just done one and just gone from there. But I think it worked out for me in that sense of having a couple down my belt, so that I could, really be ready for that next role. And to this day, I'm still here. So yeah, it's not the same journey as everyone's, but I'm really fortunate for that because I think I stuck with it and I wanted to make it count. And I think through it, I was able to find something that I'm really passionate about, which was health. So yeah, the journey continues. But David also came from this program as well, and he has also kind of a unique journey to it as well. I don't know, David, if you want to share briefly.
Yeah. I'll do a quick share. So I took a break after high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of trying to figure it out. I think it's a lot like a lot of folks might have a very similar, story after, they don't want to do with their lives. They kind of just are, working and then they eventually decide to go post-secondary. So I actually applied for the film and TV program at Humber North. And I'm not sure if it still exists, but at the time, there was a media foundations program that usually folks who didn't end up in the film program ended up in the media foundations program. And so I took that as like my entry back into post-secondary. Um, at the time, there was a PR class in that program. I don't know if there still is. If there is, that's amazing. Please keep that. But yeah, there was a PR class in that program, and that kind of opened my eyes into what PR was. I think that after the first class, I went and like Googled what PR was and like went on Wikipedia and kind of like, did like a whole search on the industry. And then my prof at the time helped me like and like really pushed me to do a career in PR. And I finished that program and went to Lakeshore for the advanced diploma program, the 3-year. Um, so yeah, I completed the program, and then this was my internship that I did as my final part of that program. And I've been here ever since. So I wanted to come in doing consumer work. I wanted to do digital. But through my internship, I think I quickly realized that like I was leaning a lot more corporate. And at the time, there was a very strong need for tech PR support for one of our big clients, Meta. So we essentially got seconded out to that file for about 8 years. So I'm actually just freshly off it. But in that time, I managed to touch all these different, tech brands and accounts and get all this unique experience in the tech comm space here in Canada. But yeah, I mean, like the journeys are very different, right? Like Amelita had, seen different parts of the PR world with beauty, fashion, and food. And that's how it happens sometimes, right? There's different roads to PR or to change makers in some senses. But I think everyone has their own unique journey, and that's what makes it kind of cool. So yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you both for sharing. I did see that we got a question in the Q&A, and Shari answered, but just so that everyone has seen it and heard, Garveed had asked if we want to share our resume for feedback, how can we do that? And I think that's really great that you put yourself out there and asked. And Shari did say that if you'd like to send your resume, she'll share it with the team and provide some feedback. So that's wonderful. Thank you. I have a couple more questions to go. unless we get any more in the Q&A. But what advice would you give a student applying for a role within your company? Now going off of your stories and what you've said already about some of the obstacles that you've seen in the past.
The first one that comes to mind is, I think Emilita mentioned their coffee chat with Mackenzie or folks. A couple of the interns we've got in the last little while have reached out to a few people for coffee chats. And that's for a few reasons. One, you want to hear about the job itself. What does it entail? What's their experience like? I think it's best to get that feedback directly from folks who just completed those programs or are relatively new in the industry, because it just makes sense because they've been so close to it. It's been a long time since I've been an intern, so my experience can be very different than someone who started 6 months ago, right? So I'd say whenever possible, reach out to some of our team members. They're very eager to chat with students. So, please don't hesitate to do that. And if one of us can't speak to one of you, we usually try to direct you to one of our other colleagues who can. So, yeah, take the time to do coffee chats, and not necessarily just like with us. Of course, like we want you to get in, like to hear from other agencies and other companies. I do find with like the PR space, a lot of folks are quite eager to share their stories as well. So yeah, whenever possible, feel free to do that. So yeah. Lita?
I love that. That was exactly one. I mean, I was able to do that too, and I feel like that experience really helped because when you look back and you think about okay, like I'm hiring, or there's got this opportunity, like you never know, like your name and face could be somebody, could be the first thing that person thinks about, right? So even similar to like what David said too, like in the past we've also had interns come to us or intern candidates come to us and kind of ask about the job, the career, everything in between, and then they end up wanting to apply, and we're like, oh wait, I remember you. And then next thing you know it, we're going through all the HR processes and they become an intern. So, sometimes it's the luck, but it's also just like, we're in the business of relationships too. So I think that also transcends into internships and taking the time to network and taking the time to know who we are. I think another thing as well that helps, it may sound a little small, but it does help every now and then. We do have people interacting with our corporate LinkedIn channel. Sometimes we have students, reaching out or commenting on any posts that we have. Sometimes it's always nice to see every now and then, and people reaching out on LinkedIn. I think that's also another way to kind of stand out. And I think just in general, I mean, just connecting, I think is a big thing. If you really want to learn more about Changemakers and you want to learn about who is there and what kind of team works on what, I mean, it's really just the reaching out part is like a nice step one, but you never know the impact it can kind of have after. So yeah, I think everything David said is exactly one really strong way of doing it, especially at a time right now where, there's so much going on. The industry is very different, it's evolving, and, a lot of people are trying to look for those opportunities. So find ways to kind of stand out.
Thank you. That's awesome. I think we have time for one last question that was put in the chat here. What's one surprising lesson you've learned that you want to share with students starting off their careers?
Damn, what's a surprising
lesson?
Yeah.
Surprising lessons throughout our career, basically. Is that kind of okay? That's a great one.
Okay, so this is one I always share because my old manager used to always say this, and we kind of since translated this to other folks as well. With any task, with any assignment, you want to understand the why, right? It's like, why are we doing this? Why is this relevant? Why is this important? And the reason we say that a lot is because I think in some careers and jobs, we get used to just doing the work and not necessarily thinking about why it's important, and what the bigger picture is. And so whenever we ask our interns to do tasks, and they go through it, we want to ask them like, why did you decide this particular tactic or person or media outlet or influencer, right? And really push them to think about that, because like we want to be able to provide that context to our clients as well, right? So our interns, despite being an intern, like you're still providing work that goes to clients in some capacity. Obviously, it gets reviewed by different people throughout that process. But you as the first person building that project, putting that thing together, really have to be able to provide us, Amelita or myself, with that context, and you have to really be able to back your decision, right? So, and that still applies beyond internships, frankly. Like this is something I'm still asking myself when I'm doing other work and building like big commerce plans or building big strategies. Why is this relevant, right? Why is this important? And that's something that I think can translate beyond even just starting your career. I think it's an important element throughout.
Thank you, David. I think that's a great answer and a great way to end off this session, just being mindful of time. Thank you so much to all three of you for joining us today and for sharing your insights. We look forward to having our students apply to these open roles and continuing our collaboration.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for having us, indeed.
And
Thanks,
thank you,
everyone.
everyone, for joining. Have a great evening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.